Surfer 9211 coming at you with another video following up on the spells because we had done the monsters yesterday for the introduction of the class Dark Magician. This channel is dedicated to teaching students, teaching the beginning of Dark Magician to beginners to advanced top tier YCS formats. Simply a discussion trying to take you up to the next level. The people who finish the course are guaranteed to be more powerful and gain information that you will not find anywhere else. And people wonder why. The answer is very simple: because no one else knows. That's why. You will never again hear anything that I tell you or that I talk about, and that's why people come. They just come to get a few questions and they leave, and what they don't know is that they fell into a trap because they were baited. They were given a few things and they left, and they have no idea. All they learned was a few combos, but they didn't really learn the overall. So we're gonna go over the spells now. So with the spells, we have a dark magic attack. Dark magic attack comes in clutch in combination with being able to discard the card, replay it twice in a turn. Let me explain. You hit dark magic attack and they have the whole backfield full. They can hit you with a solemn judgment. Then you activate Soul Servant, get dark magic attack a second time and use it the same turn. And there's actually a way to play it 3 times in a turn. I'll show you the scenario, which no one has ever discussed, no one ever will. You'll never hear this again in your life till you die. So here's the way that you use it. You use dark magic attack, solemn judgment. Then you use Soul Servant. You stack it, use it again. They hit you with the second solemn judgment. So then on the third one, you use Soul Servant the last time, and you stack it. And from there, you trigger Eternal Soul, and Eternal Soul gives it to your hand, and you use it a third time, all in the same turn. I can guarantee you probably never even heard the second play, let alone hear about the third. There's actually a fourth way to redo it all over again, but I'm not going to discuss it. But basically, it's like you have 3 feather dusters, and on top of that, you have access to it at any point in the duel, either in the beginning or at the end of the duel. You have to be able to use the card as needed. Sometimes it's used as a discard for either Dragoon, so you have Dragoon in the field, and when you're playing a top tier deck, sometimes you do top decking, meaning you got nothing. You just got Dragoon on the field and maybe Eternal Soul, and that's all you got. So what you do, you don't want to trigger the Rot in the Graveyard to get rid of the Dragoon. I don't know how many have gone through that, but it happens a lot once you get to top tier level, because it's card per card. Like you play 3 cards, they play 3 negations, then they play 3 cards and you do 3 negations. It's vice versa. So sometimes you run into the situation of top decking, meaning you have nothing, just whatever you draw from the top, and you draw dark magic attack. That's how it's used, either to wipe out the back row or to omni-negate this card with Dragoon, and sometimes that's all you need. So what you do is you trigger Eternal Soul, either during your opponent's turn or during your turn when you draw. And what you do there, you'll basically draw it, and now all of a sudden you didn't have a discard card, and guess what? All of a sudden you do now. Some people may need to discard a card for the Timaeus, the Dragon of Destiny, then just trigger the Eternal Soul. Do you need Apprentice Illusion Magician to come on the field? Because you need to activate Apprentice in the field for whatever reason. Just trigger Eternal Soul. It does not matter why you need a discard as long as you need it, because it happens. You don't always need to destroy the back row of your opponent. Sometimes you just need a discard card, and I just explained Eternal Soul does that by getting you Dark Magic attack from the deck, and it also does a second thing besides all that I said that it does. Like, that's versatility, and it opens your mind to Dark Magic attack being main decked. Most of the people, I tell them, if they hate it main deck, they could just leave it the extra, and you know what? They never even include it, and they never win. They never win their locals because of that, and they never do good at YCS or regionals. And that's one of the reasons why, because they don't have back row removal. It's not something new. It happens to everyone. That's why I teach these classes, because people will always, as long as they live, people will always say, I don't need help, I know what I'm doing. But words don't really matter. It's based on your results. And I already know that even the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh players that play Dark Magician always forget these simple things that I've given some decks away free here at the locals, like some of my friends, to their like little brothers, where there's like $35 deck given away for free, and even they main deck the Dark Magic attack. They're a lot smarter than most of the Dark Magician community, and Dark Magic attack the second the second thing that the Dark Magic does, besides the coming in for the discard, is obviously the simple one of getting rid of the back row, and you could use it up to a maximum of 3 times per turn. And I explained how already. Yeah, I already explained how to do that. And then there's a third reason why you do that as well. Sometimes you've seen your top deck, and through Circle or any other way that you might have seen the top deck results, like you could have stacked with Illusion of Chaos, and sometimes it happens that you draw 2 of them, because it does. It's a percentage. It's not often, but let's say you have 2 and you want to get rid of 1. You don't want to keep the 2, because that does brick you, because your opponent might use an effect to negate, and then you just end up with 2 Illusion of Chaos, and that's bad. What you do is you stack Chain, Eternal Soul, and that will automatically shuffle your deck randomly, and it'll set up a random card. And then it also does so it's like getting the card to your hand for the discard, the regular back row removal, and then 3 shuffling the deck. And then there's a 4th reason why you do it. It also thins out your deck, and that's how I'm able to draw a maximum. I don't remember the actual number, but I think it was, we could do the math right now, but in the first turn my deck said it had 19 cards left. So from the first turn, we already know that the 5 first cards are the cards that you originally draw. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we drew somewhere around 16 cards the first turn. And you also, if you end up with the Magicians, the Dark Magicians, the fusion, during your opponent's turn, you can trigger the Eternal Soul to draw the card and do all the 4 sequences I said. Get a discard, back row removal, thin the deck and shuffle it, and then that will trigger the Dark Magicians to draw another card, and that's what ends up the deck hitting, which is still considered your first turn because you haven't gone again, right? It's during your opponent's turn, because you haven't drawn anymore as your draw phase. You draw 2 more cards, and that puts the deck ends up looking like it's at 17 from your first turn, and that's so crazy because your deck is more than 50% used, and it's only been your first turn. So when you go again, if the Dark Magician still survived, you could draw. By then you probably have multiple Soul Servants, and if you look at the video, sometimes when I draw those 20 cards the first turn or close to it, the opponents don't bother going next. They just surrender because they already know in the graveyard there's about 13 cards. The field is full with the Dragoon, a Circle, Eternal, and then we have the Right Hand, and we have something else. Basically, they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to waste their time. They're just rather surrender and duel somebody else that's a lot easier. Maybe somebody like the famous YouTubers, or even maybe like anybody that plays Dark Magician, but they don't want to duel against me. You've never heard anybody elaborate so great on the Dark Magic attack because nobody knows how to play Dark Magician. They just tell you they do, but you copy their formats and you notice they don't work. And nobody talks about ratios or win percentage, and that's something that we're gonna do at the end of the class. The next one after that is Veil. Dark Magic Veil comes in so clutch 100% of the time because you no longer depend on just a few cards like Rod and Soul Servant. With Veil, you automatically have access to bring a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl or any Dark Spellcaster from the graveyard or your hand, and that includes the bricks, both Dark Magician Girl and Dark Magician. Sometimes you're stuck and you have Soul Servant and you don't have a way to break out, and guess what? You Veil into the Dark Magician Girl or Dark Magician, and then you can stack like a Rod and work from there. And if you have cards to draw more, for example, the Spellbook Engine, you could trigger it from your hand, draw more, and when you notice at the end of your turn there's way too many cards you're drawing, because just with one Soul Servant, either one Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, and the Spellbook Engine by itself, that's a total of 6 cards that you're drawing. And that doesn't even include the rest of your cards, the rest of your deck. And you drew somewhere around 6 cards. Who knows what cards you drew? You might have drawn into 6 more cards. And since so much stuff's going on, your opponent can't respond to everything. In order for him to respond, he would have to have 6 Ash Blossoms, but they don't, right? They only have 3, and sometimes they only play 1 and rarely 2 the same turn. And with those cards that you drew, like by the time you draw 13 cards together with your 5, you're somewhere around 20 cards total, like in your hand, that you played in the graveyard. That's too much for your opponent to handle. So he negated maybe 2, and by then you would have had cards that negate their cards, like Fire with Fire. So basically, essentially, they burn their cards and you're already going past half your deck. That's pretty much it for them. They're gonna have to either surrender or they're gonna waste your time because they're gonna lose anyways. You'll have your field too broken to, well, I have 4 or 5 negations on board. When he goes, it's pretty much a wrap. So the Veil comes in clutch like that. It can also bring back Dragoon in some situations, or if you need the Dark Magicians from the graveyard. Now, a lot of people argue because they say, no, this Julifer is weird. He's a weirdo. He sucks. We don't need Veil because we have Monster Reborn. And they've already made the mistake, because that is the reason why they break. Because they don't understand the Dark Magician deck. And this isn't a special thing. This is very common. people do not understand the Dark Magician deck. They never did. They still don't understand it, and they never will understand it. Because in order to understand, you have to start from square one and acknowledge the facts instead of what you feel, instead of what you were taught. Because people don't understand, they're already programmed. Everything that exists, you're programmed a certain way. So what's popular, that's what's programmed into your brain, into your heart. But the reality, that's not. That's something else. Has nothing to do with programming. Has nothing to do with me, with you, with anybody. And that's what I do. It's not my way of playing Dark Magician. It's just the reality and the facts. But since I orient towards that side, it's not popular. The truth is not popular. Believe it or not, it's not. You know, why have more than 80 subscribers left my channel? Because they hate the truth. It's not that they hate me, they hate the truth. And because I speak the truth, they hate me, they hate the truth. So people who stay, they're okay with the truth. They might not like it, but they know the truth. So yeah, the veil does all that. The veil can work in combos with so many other cards. And I'm gonna be uploading videos of combo tutorials for everyone to watch. Because people wonder, like, why does my opponent have a full field and I'm about to lose with 2 cards? How do I do it to stop the whole field, blow it all up, and then me draw like 6-7 cards and then win? How do I do that? People start tripping over my videos. Because when you go see your favorite people, the popular people, or even people who come to subscribe who play Dark Magician, the way that they duel is either they're winning the duel or they're losing. And if they're winning, they win, and if they lose, they lose. And that's wrong. That's why the win ratio percentage is bad. A lot of people don't tell you, but to be honest with you, they're a 50% win rate. In case you didn't know, in school, that's a failure. I'm very technical and very demanding from my cards, from my deck. The reason why is because if I paid for something, it has to work. No excuses, only results. And to be honest with you, for me, if a deck doesn't reach 80% win rate or higher, it's trash and I don't play it. So that's just a model. And believe it or not, like 95% of the decks that are popular, you probably didn't even know. Some of them are not even 70% win rate. You probably didn't know that. I'll tell you why. Feather Duster kills you. If you don't believe me, go look at... don't listen to me. Go look at your favorite YouTubers. See how many videos they have when they get hit with the Feather Duster, the Kaijus, Lightning Storm, all of those cards. And guess what? They don't have any. And if they do, they can't stop it. Feather Duster kills them. I don't want to name any names, but they have videos and they might have deleted them. But I can testify I've seen them play against those simple cheap cards, like $4 cards, and they left Dark Magician just because they didn't know how to beat it. I don't know if you knew, but Feather Duster does nothing to my deck. Neither does Dragoon or any Kaijus. In fact, I purposely look for decks that are Kaiju decks, Spell Trap Destruction decks, and they do nothing to my deck. Nibiru, all of that, none of those cards, I'm not affected by them. Maxi, there's a lot of ways to escape every single card that exists. So the card that comes after that is the Spellbook Engine. Basically, one card lets you draw to the rest. The way that the Spellbook Engine works is, I already told you, the wrong way to play it is to normal summon Rod onto the field. That's the wrong way. So what is the correct way? The correct way is to play it in your hand. Never normal summon Spellbook magician. Um, so the only exception is if you draw. If there's no other way to climb into it, then you have to. But I'm telling you, the top tier style is to play it from your hand because you draw 5 cards plus you never normal summon, so then you can do rod at the end. I always teach people, always try to look for a way to play it in your hand. I go on a lot of YouTubers channels that I teach or people who don't play Spellbook Engine, and guess what? Nobody plays it from their hand. Nobody. I have to go on the comments and let them know, bro, don't play it from your from your field. Play it from your hand, because even students that I've taught in the past, they complain and they say, excuse me. They tell me like, hey, I have issues because I'm trying to decide to play Rod or Spellbook Magician or Prophecy. Do you know what that tells me? This guy's a rookie. He doesn't know how to play Dark Magician. Is that normal? Yes. Yeah, so the Spellbook Engine, like I said, proper way is to be played from the hand. You're not meant to play it onto the field. Playing it onto the field will lower the win ratio, because you might have another normal summon like Rod that will do a better play, but instead you chose to normal summon Spellbook Prophecy, and that's the incorrect way. Now, if you have a Spellbook of Knowledge, it's better to just go deep into the deck, because the more they draw, the more you're gonna jump your opponent. At that point, it becomes like a ghetto. It's like if in the hood, if 30 people go against one, the one person's getting jumped, right? So if you ever get like a Spellbook of Knowledge, you just need a Rod or anything. Just play it. If they negate it, just play Spellbook and then draw more cards and then go from there. Try to go deep into the deck. By the time you'll establish your board, even if you weren't able to draw with Rod, it doesn't matter, because as you go deep into the deck, you draw the cards you wanted anyways. So it's the same thing, and even a lot worse, because you have like, they didn't let you draw one card, but you ended up drawing 15. Believe me, it's a lot worse. The card that they played was really useless. So yeah, try to play it from your hand. Never play it from the field. You'll get used to it in your mind, in your heart. You'll get used to playing it only from your hand, and you'll notice how the deck goes from 40 to 35, and then you'll draw another 5. By the time you know it, your first turn, for the most part, you'll be close to 25 cards to close to 20, and you'll start noticing your win ratios are gonna increase. Like, you're gonna be winning 90% of your duels. As far as I know, for Master Duels, Holy currently is somewhere around 95% win rate. Because I can tell you for myself, I'm somewhere in the 85 to 90% win rate in TCG and Master Duel, and I could do somewhere around 12 to 15 games consecutively, one singles, and matches like 2 out of 3. I could do up to 6 or 7, all won, no losses. So I know he could do better than me. So that's just to give you an idea. The other one is the Ayatamaya's. People believe this is a break card. It really is. You don't want to play it unless you have multiple ways to play it, and also you might need to discard it sometimes. So let me show you an example. So you have 3 Soul Servants. I'm sorry, you do have that, but you have 3 Magician Souls. Here they are. But you also have 2 Illusion of Chaos. So with the Soul Servants and being able, like the the Upstart Goblin or the Spellbook Engine, you're gonna run into the Illusion of Chaos, and they equal two more of them because those cards get you to that. So if you add it in a calculator, it's three of the playset plus the two Illusion of Chaos. That's five of the cards. Plus, you have more cards in your deck to draw more cards. So the percentage of you getting those five cards is increased by a lot because 75% in a 40 card deck is the ratio for getting three card ratios. But once you go into five, that changes it. That automatically puts it at somewhere close to like a 77, 78, if not 80% of drawing a card. To be honest with you, it probably is 80 to 85%. So at that point, just drawing 10 cards becomes 100% that you're gonna draw it. And the cards that are at three, those it's 100%. Because you draw five, it's a 75, but then you're drawing 10 more on top of that, 15. It's too much draw. So it's like it's at that point, it's not really your fault, but you're gonna be drawing onto them on accident. It's like, for example, right now, count them. Like, let's say you open hand and you have 15 cards that you drew. Look at how many cards it is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If you were to just, or here, let's do it right now. We'll shuffle it. So let's do it right now. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, stopping with the Dark Magic attack. So there on those cards, look at all the cards you got from that. You got the right hand rod, several Magician Souls, the Imperial Custom. Look, you got the Spellbook Engine. You also got Called by the Grave, Super Poly, second rod, and then look, you drew Apprentice Illusion, and then Dark Magic Attack, all in those cards that you drew. And guess what? From those cards that you drew, because it's 15, those allow you to draw more. Each card lets you draw more. And from there, then at that point, you're drawing like another 6 cards, so that's how you hit the 20. And then you're like, no one had ever explained it to me like that. And you're like, yeah, because nobody knows what they're doing. How do you expect them to teach you? It's like, it's common sense. Nobody can teach you something they don't know, right? So you need to be taught by someone who knows. So the Eye of Timaeus works because you have high percentage ratios of getting a Dark Machine to the field, because it's not only those 5 cards. Let's look at other cards that get you a Dark Magician onto the field. Veil. So you have the 5 plus Veil, 6, and then on top of that, you have a way to set it up with the Magician Soul, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you have the Eternal Souls and a way to get to it. What were the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because the Magician Souls get the Magician Salvation get the 2 Eternals, and Eternals get the Dark Magician. So you see, you're looking at 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 different ways, and the Eternal Souls can keep reoccurring again and again and again and again forever. That's why they're eternal. And they just keep coming back and back. They can blow it up, but you have too many cards to protect it. You don't even need to enter into Dragoon or Dragon Knight, right? Because you have Imperial Custom, and then you can get like the right hand trigger at the right time. I taught people how to Omni Negate. I'll teach that again in the class. So at the point, there's way too many ins and out to Dark Magicians coming out all the time, like even through 3-4 negations. And that's how I established my deck. After that, the Spellbook Engine, again, we already talked about that. And then the Upstart Goblin. I was one of the original guys to teach it back in 2000. in 19, I had already been playing that. Then people started copying my version, and then I started spreading because a lot of people get combos from me and then they steal them. They don't give me credit, and then they introduce it through somewhere else. And people ask me like, "How do you know?" Because I played Dark Magician way before anybody did. Because I'm one of the guys that played it back since 2002, and I competed worldwide too. So it's like a lot of people weren't even born. So how could they do it before they were even born? They were babies. And then also, you look at people's content of Dark Magician, like go to their channel. They just started last year. My video started 2 years ago, but I had already done 6 months prior to that. It's just that I was dueling for like I think 6 or 7 months till I got the hang of it because I had started again. Then I started uploading, but some of those content of videos had already been dueled like 4 months prior to that, maybe 2 3 months before January 2020. Because remember the format of the games, they do 3 to 4 months before the actual launching of the cards, and the cards started at the end of December, the beginning of January 2020. So, um, yeah, so I already been playing Dragoon way before it came out. Um, here, let's start this over again. So, yeah, so if you can stack something and draw it, it's so good. Um, and then the preparation of rites basically gets you to any the illusion of chaos or the Saravas if you need it to enter Dragoon, right? Because that's a way to enter Dragoon. And then Dark Ruler No More, you can main deck one. You're drawing so much that you could just draw into it. And if you don't need it, just discard it. One of the main rules that I teach is don't cry and complain like women or like crybabies. Just get the job done and then just finish the duel and go somebody else, destroy somebody else. Um, Soul Servants, you already know what they do. Um, the best play for it, even though people tell you like don't play the Dark Magician's Fusion, he sucks. That is your ace card. With the card, you're not gonna beat it. So basically, it can restack any card back into the top of your deck. The restacking is not once per turn. You could do it multiple times. It's just the drawing is only once. So that's why you want to use other cards in combination, like stacking and then using Spellbook Engine to draw it, and then you can stack again with the other one and Upstart Goblin, and then on the third, you can stack another one, and then that one you can trigger it. The last one you can trigger it, and you have the other two in the graveyard. I've done that. So you stack 3 different times and you draw 3 different times, and at that point you're already like 15, 16 cards into your deck, and you're like, what the heck? I've never heard of anything like that. Yo, I'm not surprised that you haven't heard it. They can't teach you if they don't know. They're playing that they play Dark Magician like a game, literally like they're playing games with you. You think that you're learning, you're not really learning nothing. You're just learning what they know. And what do they know? Nothing. They don't know how to play Dark Magician, and they pass it on to you. So, yeah, when I tell you things, it's like an eye opener. It's the first time that you've ever heard it. What? I can stack 3 times and draw 3 different times? I didn't know that. You can even do it 4 times. I'll show you. You could do first stack, draw Spellbook Engine, stack a second, Upstart Goblin, stack a third time, and then if you have a Magician Souls or in your hand, restate. You could just bring it onto the field and draw more. Draw again, and then the 4th time you could just trigger from the graveyard and draw the 4th time. So at that point, if you count it, that's a lot, because the Spellbook Engine is gonna get you 2, Upstart 1, And then the Magician Souls is the fourth, and then at the fifth time you can trigger the Soul Servant in the graveyard for a fifth. So we can count it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 cards that you're drawing, and that doesn't even include all the other cards like Rod and any other cards like Circle, or anything else that lets you draw. So believe me, by your draw phase, that's just the beginning. There's a lot more ways to draw than what you think, and they're accessible every turn. So it's pretty broken. So yeah, the Soul Servant. So the other one is Secrets of Dark Magic. A lot of people hate the card. I know Lozas hate it for the longest. He's not alone. Everybody hates it because no one knows how to play it. Excuse me. I've told people so many times. A lot of people that I've spoken directly, they always tell me I need to cut the card. It doesn't do nothing. That's because they don't know how to play. They don't know how to play the card. That's why they hate it. Remember, when people hate a card, it's not because they know how to play it. It's either they lose to the card or they don't know how to play it. That's why they hate the card. So those are ignorant people. So Secrets of Dark Magic is one of the only ways that you can search it to go into Dragoon first turn. And because people don't know how to play it, nobody has ever been able to successfully summon Dragoon or Dragonite without Anaconda, and I've been doing it for a year. It's old news for me. I'm tired of doing it. So Secrets of Dark Magic comes in clutch. So many ways for the Dark Magician deck, but you can expect to hear that and to know that because the people that are teaching you don't know how to play Dark Magician. So you can't learn because you're a student. So the reality is the smallest percentage are leaders and the most majority are followers. It doesn't matter if you believe it. More likely, if you're listening to this video, you're a follower. It doesn't mean nothing wrong. The only bad thing is that the person that's teaching you, he might not know nothing, so you risk being trapped by them. They don't know nothing, and they're gonna pass down to you. You're not gonna know nothing. So if I'm lying, go look at all the famous YouTubers, probably all the people you follow, and they all say the same thing. Don't play. A lot of the cards that I tell you to play, they tell you don't play them. And then they're stuck top decking, and all their real events, they lose them all. They can't even win one single duel. You see them get stuck through 3 negations. To them, that's a lot. Like, oh yeah, the deck's top tier. They're lying. 2 to 3 negations is not top tier. 2 to 3 negations, mid-level rogue, low-level meta, that's normal. You should already be expecting that. When you're taking 4 negations and above, like 4 to 8, then that's top tier. They can even handle 2 or 1. Haven't you seen my videos? I have, almost 250. Have you not noticed, out of all the duelists that I play, even the YCS formats, as soon as they take 1 negation, they forfeit. People can't take more than 1 negation. They don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! They just make you think they do because they established their board, but when it turns back on them, they don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So here in my channel, I love to go through negations. The more the better. That's all. So then you have the Called by the Grave. Obviously, the only time that I say that I use the card, otherwise I don't really use it at all, is for the DPE. It works with the DPE. Other than that, it doesn't really matter because you can trigger it to get an Ash or something off the graveyard. But I mean, for my deck, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna draw into it anyways. But the only time that it does matter for me is with the DPE, especially in Master Duel. It works out pretty good. In any case of your opponent, if you're playing a mirror match and you want to get rid of a specific card like a Rod or a Dark Magician Girl, so that their Soul Servant doesn't revolve how they want it, or they can trigger the rod effect or whatever, um, as in the graveyard. You can trigger it. And then one of the most talked about cards, Super Poly. I warned people like 6-7 months ago that this card would be popular. Um, Back up, it's gone through a lot of ban lists where it's gone to 1 to 2 to 3, and then it goes back down. Super Poly is so broken. It could get rid of a Dragoon. It could get rid of basically anything. It's super powerful in the Invoke Shaddoll deck. It's super powerful. And the Despia in so many builds. Super Poly is so broken. In the Dark Magician, you don't need more than one. And if you don't need it, discard it. If you need to use it, if you want to put more than one, I suggest that you put it on your side deck. That's side deck. A lot of people don't know that. They try to main deck some cards and they always lose. You have to reach 80% win rate for your deck to be main deck correctly. You have to be recording your duels. A lot of people don't record your duels, believe it or not. They don't even take a record of where you tell them, what's your win rate? They're like, oh, 100%. And then you sit with them. Take it from me, like I'm an instructor for the last 3 years. And I sat with my students for no more than like 40 minutes. And I just sat and watched them go duel. And it's a sad situation. It's not making fun of my students, but it's just the reality. 100% of them told me that they won all their duels for the most part. When I sat down, guess how much the win rate was? Honestly, a lot of them were winning 30%. Now, here's why this is sad. Because I have like $28 that I can make with the Dark Magician deck. Guess what? Those decks give me the ratios that they're getting. That's how bad the ratios are. You need to be serious. And people are like, it's just a children's game, stupid children. I don't care. Then that's fine. But there's another group that's competitive. And that's who I'm targeting. And to be honest with you, you need to be counting your win-loss ratios. So you have to be hitting 80% win ratio or higher in order for your deck to be good. And you know if you reach the good main deck. So a lot of people think like, oh, I can't win any duels. I suck or my deck sucks. No. That's none of those things are true. You just need to tweak the deck a little. You might be close to achieving a really good profile. So then after that, you have the restage. On the top tier, the restage does not come followed with the left hand or the right hand because of the brick percentage. But in a regular build, like at the online, it works perfectly. You can sometimes even squeeze the left hand for stopping traps. Basically, the restage lets you gain access to a monster that might be destroyed by effect. You can re-get it back to the field. It used to work perfect with Anaconda. So you could summon anything, even Gesture that people hate. You link to Moon Maiden. You restage the Jester and then Anaconda from there. You just needed restage and one monster, and that was it. That would get you to Anaconda, and that's why my decks are so consistent. Because even through brick hands, I can turn into a Dragoon. That's why people can't handle it. So right now, what you're trying to go into is a Crawly. So it's the same thing. Instead of the Anaconda, it's the Crawly now. All you need is just one monster on the field, either normal or special, doesn't matter. And it has to be level 4 or lower. Okay. So that's what those cards do. On the budget decks that I sell, I usually put like one either right hand or left hand. The correct way sequence is you discard restage, and you're gonna draw either the right or the left hand, regardless of what else you draw. It's just automatic. The best place to do it with the Magician Souls, like I've always said, because it's a multiple effect. So basically, Magician Souls dumps the Dark Magician to the graveyard. Then you dump the Dark Magician. I mean, you dump the soul, Magician Souls into the graveyard. Then you special Dark Magician. Then restage to the Magician's Souls. Usually, you'll have another card in your hand on the field, like Salvation. So then you just use them both to draw, and then when you draw the two cards from there, restage activates in the graveyard and gets you the left or the right hand. So it's an automatic 3, and then from there you can link, you can absorb with Anima. If there's a link monster, you can link, and if it's in front of you, you can absorb it. Then from there you can go into Crawly, and then Crawly lets you go into the Spellbook engine directly from the deck. You don't have to have it in your hand. It has to be in the deck. Then you do random card, and if you draw one of the, it doesn't matter which one you draw, because there was a person telling me like, no, because there's a he didn't know. He said a 75%, but he's wrong, because in the calculator, I think it shows it's like a 73% that you're gonna get the card that you need. But to be honest with you, when you haven't normal summoned, it's 100%, because no matter what you draw, you're gonna get what you want. And if you heard the combo that I said right now, you haven't normaled yet. It's all special. So it doesn't matter what card you get to draw 2 more. And at that point, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You drew 8 from 2 cards, which actually 9 to be honest with you, because you dumped the Dark Magician, right? And because you dumped the Dark Magician, that thinned out the deck, because a lot of the times it's not necessarily drawing but thinning out the deck. A lot of times when you draw, you're not really trying to draw into anything particular. You're just trying to thin the deck, because when you thin it, you played way more cards than your opponent. So as a fact, you're gonna have more plays. You can have 16 different plays and your opponent just has 3. Guess what? He's not gonna be able to do that much with 3. You already have 16. The game's won. Too much going on for your opponent to handle. It's like he's dueling against 3 people at once. That's what it feels like when you do tag duel. Because essentially you're drawing as much as 2 people would, or 3. So yeah, you absorb, you do that. So you notice 2-card combo is like broken. Dark Magician on the field, Magician Souls on the field, drawing, absorbing, drawing some more, and then through all the cards that you drew, like 9 cards or whatever, those cards are in your hand. You'll still have more things to do. Those cards you drew could draw more, and you're like, what? You're like, yep. You could have drawn Mystic in that time, and if your opponent had a broken board, you could just freeze them, Eternal Circle, and start going from there. You could have Circle activated already, and when you brought Dark Magician, you could have banished something. Like, there's multiple things going on that you have no idea the deck is capable of so much power. That's just 2 cards I mentioned. You still have the rest of your deck. What about all the other cards? And that's how I get the results I get. The Circle, never play the Circle if it's not gonna hit nothing. If it's not gonna hit nothing, you should at least have a Soul Servant in the graveyard with the ability to draw at least 1 or 2, or Upstart, because you want to stack it, or a Spellbook engine, you want to stack it and stack the card that you need. Then guess what? Draw into it. So not only Soul Servant could draw you what you want. If the Circle doesn't hit, you have to use the rest of the cards to get the hit as well. So I'll show you an example. Let's say you have Skill Drain, and Soul Servant's not live, or you don't even have it. You can have Upstart, you can have a Spellbook engine, Or you can have Magician Souls on the field with a few spell trap to discard. So what you do is you hit the circle, you stack the cards you need, like a Mystic Mine and a Skill Drain, and then trigger the other cards that I just said, and you're gonna draw into those cards. So it's essentially like having a Soul Servant search and draw. And then on top of all that, believe me or not, on top of all those things that I just told you, you still can have the Soul Servant. So you could draw everything, then draw some more. And that's the whole technique. Drawing into the deck. Like sometimes I draw a lot first, and then I hit the the circle at the very end with the Soul Servant. Because the main thing is to mill the deck. You want to mill it. Don't try to hit the Soul Servant from the beginning, because you're not going to mill as much as you want. I'll explain why. Because some certain cards are sequenced to play at the end. Everything has a sequence. If you don't play it at the optimal sequence, you lose. Your percentage of losing starts increasing. So the question is, who makes the percentage of losing increase? The player does. Because you play incorrectly, because the sequences are off where they're supposed to be. So it's called mistake. So you're playing cards the wrong way. So the more you play cards wrong, the more the chances of you losing increase. Because if you would have played them correctly, you could have ended up on your first board, no Anaconda, no Ref, no Red Eyes Black Dragon. On your first turn, you could have ended with one Dragoon, one Right Hand, or one Skill Drain, one Circle, one Eternal, and Imperial Custom. And people are like, no, you're exaggerating. Come look at my duels. It happens all the time. It's like an 80% ratio that I do it with no Anaconda, no Revs, no Red Black Dragon. And when I used to say that a year ago, people used to comment like, man, you're stupid, man. You don't know what you're doing, blah, 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 this and that. And now that they took it off, guess what? The comments disappeared. Why? Why did they disappear? If I'm stupid, if I don't know what I'm doing, why did they disappear? Whatever happened to when I said you don't need Anaconda, you don't need Reps, you don't need Red Eyes Black Dragon for more than a year? What happened now? Now they don't know what to do. Oh, we have to play Ref at 3. And they never see Dragoon anymore. They're losing all their duels. People are leaving Dark Magician. What happened? They were lying, because whoever taught them doesn't know what they're doing. And they learned that. They learned nothing. So then now they have to submit that they didn't know nothing, but they don't want to tell me. I'm sorry. They don't want to admit it. So guess what? They have to submit to my way. And you're like, it's a new way. No, it's an old way. I'm already tired of it. It's already more than a year old. So those people are like behind by a year and a half. And like when I play something, I have to wait a year and a half for people to catch up to me. Because they're listening, or they don't know, listening to people who don't know what they're doing, or they themselves don't know what they're doing. So believe me, the circle's gotta always hit, no excuse. I don't have a Soul Servant. Then do it with something else. You have multiple cards to draw the cards that you want. Sometimes you can hit a circle together with the Dark Magician's the fusion, because you'll hit, and even if you don't draw a Dark Magician card, if you do draw that first and then stack the other one, and the Dark Magician will get it to your hand. But if it doesn't draw anything, it doesn't matter, because even if there's a Skill Drain amongst there, the Dark Magicians will chain and you stack it to the top and it'll draw it to your hand. So you want to do optimal, preferable for the circle to end up drawing 3. They're like, what do you mean 3? Because the Soul Servant at 2, a Soul Servant at 2 with the Dark Magician grow in the graveyard, it could draw you 2, and then the first one, you can stack it to stack something, right? You stack it to, that's the correct way to play it. People are like, what do you mean? I never heard that. That's just normal. It just tells you how ignorant you are, because it's supposed to stack to draw. So this is the way that I do it. I'll show you an example. Circle, Soul Servant, stack Salvation, draw it, activate it, set the Eternal, then from the graveyard, trigger it, draw 2 more random. And you're like, oh, that sucks. Why'd you do that? Because look at what I did. 1 circle, 1 Eternal. From the draw, I drew again because I drew the Eternal. And then I drew 2 more. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4. I drew 4 cards when some people don't even draw nothing. So you want to play cards at optimal speed. Sometimes when I duel, I have Eternal Soul in my hand, and guess what? I still search Magician's Salvation. I still trigger, I still pull the Eternal Soul from the deck to the field. And people are like, why would you do that? Because sometimes my opponent pops it and I have the second one to chain. Or I also thin out the deck because I can draw another 6. So I have the Eternal Soul and I have 5 cards. And I search the other 2, making it 7. And I draw another 6. Plus I already have the other one. So when I end my turn, my deck has somewhere around 21 cards to 20. At that point, the field's already established with too many negates, 3 to 4 or 5. And my max, I think it's 6. At that point, my opponent just wasting my time. But you have to be patient and wait for him to get everything negated and surrender or lose connection. You already know what happens. The other one's Magician's Salvation. Magician's Salvation. The real reason why you play it is to bring a Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl onto the field if you want a link, or trigger the effect of Rod, or to top that off, to mill the deck. And it works really good. Also with Soul Servant, to where you can send Magician's Salvation to the graveyard to draw. It just has so much plays, and it thins out the deck. I mean, we could do the test again, like we shuffle it, and let's say you draw even 14 cards the first turn. Well, you start with 5, so let's say you do 8. So look, count them. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So if you take a look at it, if you're going second, you're pretty much gonna win. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You have Mystic, so you're gonna play it at the end, right? And then you can start with playing the Magician's right hand. You already have Spellbook Engine, look. So you could draw. And yeah, so, and you have a way to play Dragoon already from that first turn, because you have the Magician Souls and Ayatamayas. You could draw cards. And since you have the Spellbook Engine, you can trigger it to send the other Spellbook card from your hand and draw 2. So essentially you're gonna have even more than 13. Then from there you could just stack to get a rod or anything that you want, because you're gonna be drawing a lot. I mean, you can already special summon the Apprentice to dump the Dark Magician Girl, the Dark Magician Girl, to get the Dark Mission in the graveyard. And when you draw, you could draw into one of the rods, because you haven't never even normal summoned yet, right? And you could do circle, and then you got the 2, you could draw more. It's like you can elaborate. You play all that and see what they respond to. If they don't respond to nothing, or if they do, it doesn't matter. You hit them with Mystic at the end. That's gonna be it for them. You're gonna establish your board and just start removing everything. It's so easy, so simple, so quick, and then your mind opens up like, wow, I didn't know you could do all that. Yeah, because the people have been teaching you haven't been teaching you anything. You know, for the most part, all people do is they show off. They don't teach you nothing. They're like, oh, I bought 3 Illusion of Chaos, $90 each. You never even bothered to notice that, did you? And then you come to my channel. I got them for $28 a card. Then I resold some for like 45. Then I bought another playset for like $27 per card. Like I got a whole playset for what people got one card by themselves, and then I resold them for double. So basically, I didn't spend anything. I ended up making somewhere around $210, and it gave me all my money back. Um, People are not smart. You just think they are because they tell you. They don't show you. They don't teach you nothing good. Um, and I've always said the best way to play Yu-Gi-Oh is not to spend any money, and you can get it all for free. You just buy, resell, and make your money back, and then it gives you extra, and that money you used to buy more. That's all. That's how it works. Um, there was a guy that told me like it's just a stupid kids game. Now, when you make past 50,000 a year, you make more than most of the people make in a regular job. So um, yeah. So that finishes up the spells. Um, if you guys want, I could just cover the traps right now. Might as well. Um, the last card would be um, Mystic Mind. Mystic Mind is a card that gets played at the very end. Never play it first. If you play it first, you don't know what you're doing. You're supposed to bait everything, then you play Mystic Mind in the end. That's the way it works. That's what the high percentage ends up being. You bait all the Dragoon or whatever you need to bait, the back row, Solemn Judgment, all that, and then afterwards you just activate it. Um, Pretty nasty. Uh, then also, people sometimes start with Feather. I just use Eternal, bring Dark Magician, and then I'll trigger the right hand to Omni Negate. And that's something I was gonna mention right now about the Eternal Soul. The Eternal Soul has a lot of powerful plays if you know how to play it correctly with the combos of your deck. Um, Eternal Soul's number one use is to bring in Dark Magician, and the best way to do it is against Dragoon. So they're gonna enter Dragoon, and you know it. You chain off into Eternal, and there's nothing they can do. You bring Dark Magician in defense. They can't pop it. They can't do anything. They can't do anything to the Eternal Soul. All they could do is just attack the Dark Magician, and you're gonna defend yourself. So during the next turn, you could play the Circle, and they're gonna have to Omni Negate, or you can chain to Eternal Soul, and they're gonna Omni Negate. And then once you use it, boom, hit them with the Mystic. That's gonna be a wrap for them. They're trapped, and you have to establish your board from there to get rid of it and win. So there's just so many ways that the Eternal Soul can help you. People are like, no, I don't play it because I blow up your board, but because they don't know how to protect it, because they don't know how to play Dark Magician. And here's the truth. How many people play it at one or none? Everybody. Like 98%, almost all of them. All the YCS formats, every YouTube, every famous person, everyone who plays Dark Magician. And now here's the real question that they lie about. How many times do you play it? What's the percentage? The real honest people will tell you maybe less than 3%. I never use it, never see it. And then the next question that I asked them, a real question from a real Dark Magician player. Why do you play a card if you never use it? What's the response that they tell you? The stupidest answer. Oh, because I need it. Well, they're contradicting themselves. They never use it. They never play it. Why have it? Get rid of the card. Get rid of Circle. Get rid of Eternal. Oh, I need it. I don't want to cut it. You see, that's an indicator that nobody knows what they're doing. If the card does nothing, why play it? Now, me too. I see it all the time. It does all sorts of things for me. I win the duel because sometimes I use it as defense. It gets me, it does so much for me, Eternal Soul. It gets me Dark Magic attack to clear the back. It shuffles my deck. It thins the deck. I use it to discard for Dragoon. I use it to discard for just about anything else. I use it to bring it to for the Ayatamayas. I use it to bring it to the secrets and go into Dragoon, Dragonite. I use it in combination where with there can only be one. So basically, they're trapped. I use it for the Circle Eternal um, recycling. The the loop. I use it for the rod. It can be used for so many things. There is some formats that play it at 2 in YCS, in case you didn't know, and they have a lot of success. They did top 10. You probably didn't know that. The next card, Imperial Custom. Basically, if you play 3 skill drains, this is the card that you need in there. I usually play 2 skill drain, but on this one I just play 1. To be honest with you, the Dark Ruler No More is supposed to be the second skill drain. The only reason why I played it like this, just because I wanted to, but I can switch it back. Basically, your Eternal Soul doesn't go nowhere. You don't need Dragoon, Dragonite, you don't need any of those. What you do is you set it face down and let you bait them. So they try to use Feather, they try to do whatever you can think of, Pankratops, and they're laughing, right? I even did it on the Dino, the top tier, the guy. I think he had 9, but the guy was lying because somebody else online had told me that the guy had told them he had like 15 wins, 0 losses. I believe it. I think he was just trying to make it seem like his deck wasn't that powerful, because sometimes people will tell you like, oh yeah, I'm a new Yu-Gi-Oh player. People have told me that, and they have like an 11 win streak, and what I do is I make it into a joke, because I tell them I can tell you're new, you're pretty easy, and that makes them mad, because they die. But yeah, but the Imperial Custom is very, very powerful. When they try to pop your back row, like the Eternal Soul, there can only be one, or the skill drain, like they finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Boom! You hit them with the Imperial Custom, and they're trapped. Like the cards that they just used to get rid of it, they get burned, because it says any card that would be destroyed by your opponent, a continuous trap card, is no longer destroyed. But it says that it doesn't work against Imperial Custom. You can pop Imperial Custom, but they already targeted your skill drain and your Eternal. There can only be one, because they're like, man, I gotta get out of this loop, right? And they try to trigger it, and you trigger it. It's so hilarious. Some people get so angry that they just surrender right there. They don't want to deal with it. They're like, I have to work too hard for this. I just rather lose this duel and go somewhere else. And that's the way that it goes for me. I have so many combos and sequences. I can't even count them. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, the monsters by themselves have at least like 20 to 25 different sequences and combos, and then the spells by themselves, that's a lot of spells, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I have like 19 spells, something like that. And they chain off to more than 40 combos. Plus the other ones that are already 20 something. That's 60. And then the traps, they combo off to probably like 10 different combos. That puts it at 70. And then when you combine them all and they combo with each other, that's like another 60 something combos. And then you add that all together, that's probably like somewhere around 180 different combos. It could be up to like upwards of 200 different combos from this. And then you have to include the extra deck side deck too. It's like there's too much going on for people to handle, man. Believe me, too much going on. Ways to protect the back row even before Dragoon and Dragonite come out is broken. You already know the original teacher of this. You live and die and never hear it from anywhere else. You heard it here. A lot of these plays and sequences you've never heard before. No one's ever taught them. You never will be taught it. You'll never see it again. If someone does it and you see it, it's because I taught them how to do it. They got it from me. But the right hand and the left hand is so broken. basically Eternal and the right hand, and you just sit back and relax. Let them play all the cards they want. But whenever you see them play like a Feather Duster or a card you don't want to resolve, like Lightning Storm, Feather, or anything, even a draw card, Pot of Avarice or whatever, you just chain to Eternal Soul, bring Dark Mission to the field, and Omni negate it. Technically, you're choosing what you negate and what you don't. That's so broken. It's like having a Dragoon. Man, people don't even know that. And then from there, you can chain, because you already used the effect, right? You can chain to the Rod and get them back to your hand. And people are like, no, because they're going to OTK you. Well, sometimes there can only be one. Why are you scared of like 1,800 of attack? Or even if it's a 3,000, who cares? Just take one hit and go next turn. You can Rod Circle. Yeah, you can Rod Circle, or Rod Circle attack. You could kill your Rod and then just chain to Eternal, bring Dark Mission, banish. Then from there, link to Inmug, send Dark Mission back to the graveyard, and then do it again next turn, and do the Rod, and it's the loop. Like, people are not smart, man. That's already another combo. It's like a broken top tier combo. Not who's gonna get past that. You're like, oh, they'll use Feather. You'll just Omni negate it. The Kaiju, that's even better for you because they let you go into the loop again. You don't even have to use Rod. So, oh, I'm just going to go on into Dragoon. Omni negate it. Sometimes you even have Dragoon out there with the right hand, and can only be one broken. It's like a 95% win rate. At that point, your opponent's just wasting your time. There's nothing they can bring that's one of that you can't negate. You can negate the first spell, Omni negate with Dragoon, and what's gonna go past the 3,000-4,000 attack? Nothing. And then you can trigger the Eternal to get the Dark Magic attack to your hand for the Omni negate. Telling you, it's too broken. Then on top of that, you have all the fusions, the extra deck. The link. This video's gone long enough. I covered the spells and the traps. At the end, we're gonna be doing the extra deck and the side deck. So with that having been said, Dark Magic attack. You guys take care. Stay safe.